So the guy we're talking about is the negotiation expert, Chris Voss. He is a founder of the group called Black Swan Group Limited, and he wrote the book, Never Split the Difference.
That's it.
Yep. Negotiating as if your life depended upon it. Now, I found this guy on YouTube, and he gives talks about what real-life negotiations are. And I think important when we talk about business, we learn all the basic sales 101. And how you're supposed to do this and split the difference. And he says, no, there's other ways you can handle it. And he's wrote a great article about this. His article was talking about the 4 steps to establish control in a negotiation.
Okay.
So he says the secret to gaining the upper hand in negotiation is giving the other side the illusion of control. And how he says is there's 4 ways that we can do that, and how you can flip that control dynamic on its head is there's 4 parts to it. And the very first part is a label. So
interesting.
When someone asks a question, like a closed-ended questions, we typically ask a question that we want to get an answer yes. But what he does is instead of asking the yes questions, he says you feel, however, is taking control of your
right.
He just says go the yes route. He wants to deviate the question from a choice question to a control question. To the control-oriented approach leaves people frustrated. What he's saying is establish control by asking questions that give them a label. So you're concerned. This is what you mean. This is what you're looking for.
You know, it's funny because when I read the book, and this is one of the 80 books that I read, on the bike, right?
Right.
And my take of the entire book was the secret to good negotiations is to ask questions.
Right.
That was kind of my take to begin with. So the fact that he's starting with this it doesn't surprise me, right? That if you want to get control of a conversation, just start asking questions and then confirming how people are feeling by asking questions and dropping a label in there.
Right.
Will make them, number one, feel comfortable that you're listening, and number two, it will also allow them to define themselves in a particular way, which makes them think they're in charge, whether they are or not.
Right.
That's interesting.
And he says that he gives examples. It seems like, it sounds like, it looks like. And, of course, he's always calibrating along as he goes when he asks his question.
Right.
Now, the second one, which I think most salespeople have a hard time with, are effective pauses. So after any great question or any great label that you give someone, he says, just go silent. Shut the front door.
Do not talk.
That's right.
Let the silence happen.
Right. Right. He says because what they do is most people fear the silence. And they have to talk. And while again we're taught this stuff in sales and influence, say whoever's the first one who talks loses. He says practice it, play with this stuff. So when he says effective pauses, he goes, I may give my clients to tell them that during the whole day, all they have to do is learn how to have, when they have different conversations, is how do they plan their effective pauses. So now when they go into negotiations and when it becomes hard, they can already do that.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah, that's one of my big problems. Yep.
And then the third step, he says, he has calibrated questions. And what he means by this is he has questions that are in advanced ways of asking a question in different ways to make sure he gets the right answer. So he may say, what's the biggest challenge you face? Or what are you against? What are you up against here? Or what causes the most frequent breakdowns? He's always going to ask questions that have to lead them into giving them the responses he's looking for.
Yeah, and what it also is important will allow you to open up your mind to what their motivation is. The why in business is really important.
Right.
Why will you not allow an extra $10 service charge on your business or whatever? And once you get to the why, you may be able to come up with a solution. This is the calibrating these questions. He makes sound easy.
Yes.
It requires prep to do this properly.
Yes. You're talking to somebody who's obviously practiced a lot. He's very well educated. He understands the person well.
Yes.
And, even in my own business of working with different athletes or business, I'm always asking questions. And I'll ask a question 2 or 3 different ways till I know and I understand them at a level that says, okay, they're telling me the truth or they've leaked that response. Because once you understand their true motive, not what they tell you on the base, you win.
Well, and also take what you did for me. You know, you didn't say, Joe, really, man?
Right.
Stop eating pizza. You said, do you have to eat the whole pizza?
Right.
So you were continuously asking these questions where my only good answer would be, no, I guess not.
Right.
Yeah. So that's correct. But that takes a skill.
It is. And you have to, I think the one thing I take out of this, and one thing that I definitely do in my business and any other influencer does, is they're creative and they're curious. I'm just curious why they would think that way, why they've done business, what's going on with them right now, and what does that really mean in the future. And what he's listing out here in his different ways, and I would say, you know, anybody who wants to learn more about this guy, go to Black Swan Limited, LTD.com, check him out, or go to his YouTube videos for Chris Voss.
He is absolutely a true professional.
He has a whole system and a lot of different ways of walking someone through to get what he's looking for. And the guy's flexible in his approach. He knows how to calibrate the person. He's asking different questions. In fact, step 4 here is the tone of your voice. He says the smile on your face, well, actually, it instills more encouragement for people to respond. In fact, he says that when you have a smile on your face and you're working with somebody authentically, you're 31% more effectively in setting a positive mindset. Now, here's what that means. We want to quantify this even down. If someone likes you, you have a 6 times more likely chance of making a deal happen than if they don't like you. So your very first thing is really to understand that person and have them feel as though they can be friends with you, or they really appreciate or understand who you are as well. Because if they have that, where they don't feel like that they're talking up to somebody, they're going to talk about you. And here's the other part of that he didn't talk about here, is when people love what you do, you now create raving fans.
Right. You know, when you dig into the book on this topic, one of the things he talks about is when to smile.
Yes.
Allow the person across the table to say a few things before you smile. Then they felt like that you genuinely like them, instead of if you come walking in the room, smile in your face.
Yeah. They're thinking there's a perma-grin or what's going on.
That's correct.
Taking me serious.
That's correct.
Yes.
And so not only is it the tone and smile, but the timing of that was really interesting.
Yep.
This is absolutely one of the best books I have ever read or listened to, especially on negotiation. I love it. It is amazing to me that you found this book, and you thought you were going to stump me, didn't you?
I did, but you know, I've watched a few of his videos, and I think, you know, when you and I talk about influence, he comes from the heart. This guy's had to go in third world countries and negotiate stuff that would make you and I cry.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. He's a great guy. So it's Chris Voss is the guy's name again. Check him out on YouTube or his book.